At the crowded hospital cafeteria in downtown Boston, a nurse accidentally handed me a paper cup with someone else's name written on it, and that tiny mistake exposed the woman who had been slowly destroying my life from inside my own family. My name is Eleanor Whitmore. I'm 63 years old, a retired elementary school principal, a widow for nearly 12 years, and until that terrifying winter night, I believed loneliness was the worst thing that could happen to a woman my age. I was wrong. Betrayal is worse. Especially when it comes wearing the face of someone you loved like your own daughter. If you stay with me until the end of this story, you'll understand why I no longer trust smiles at family dinner tables. And tell me what city you're watching from, because I still find comfort knowing there are strangers out there with kinder hearts than the people sitting closest to me. 3 years earlier, my son Daniel begged me not to spend retirement alone. "Mom," he said one Sunday afternoon while helping me carry groceries into my little townhouse in Cambridge, "you sacrificed your entire life for everyone else. It's time someone took care of you." I remember smiling at him while unpacking oranges onto the kitchen counter. Daniel had always been my pride. 40 years old. Successful architect. Calm voice. Gentle eyes. The kind of son other mothers envied. And beside him stood Vanessa, his wife. The woman who called me Mom, within 2 months of marrying into our family. At first, Vanessa seemed like a blessing from heaven. She brought flowers every Friday. Remembered my birthday without reminders. Called to check on me after doctor appointments. She even cried at my late husband's grave during Memorial Day weekend, holding my hand like a devoted daughter. I trusted her completely. Which is exactly why she nearly ruined my life. It started slowly. That's how manipulation works. Quietly. Like water leaking beneath a locked door. After Daniel and Vanessa moved into a larger home in an upscale Boston suburb, they insisted I sell my townhouse and move into their guest suite. "You shouldn't be alone anymore," Vanessa said warmly. "We're family." I hesitated. I loved my independence. My little garden. My neighbors. My routines. But Vanessa kept insisting. Daniel kept agreeing. And eventually, loneliness convinced me they were right. So at 62 years old, I sold the home where I raised my son and moved into their beautiful white colonial house near Lexington. For the first few months, everything felt perfect. Family dinners. Movie nights. Coffee together every morning. Vanessa even decorated my room herself, choosing soft blue curtains because she remembered they were my favorite color. Or at least pretended to remember. Then little things began changing. Small things. Almost invisible things. Packages I ordered mysteriously disappeared. My jewelry box was moved several times. Vanessa started making jokes about my memory in front of guests. "Oh, Eleanor forgets everything lately." She'd laugh lightly during dinner parties. At first, everyone chuckled politely. Including me. Until I realized she repeated those jokes constantly. She gets confused. She repeats stories. She forgets appointments. She probably needs supervision soon. Each comment sounded harmless alone. Together, they became something darker. A narrative. A trap. One evening, I walked downstairs unexpectedly and overheard Vanessa whispering to Daniel in the kitchen. "She can't manage her finances anymore," Vanessa said softly. Daniel sighed heavily. "She's getting older." My stomach tightened instantly. I backed away before they noticed me. That night I barely slept. Over the next several weeks, things escalated. My bank contacted me about unusual withdrawals. My doctor asked whether I'd been taking my blood pressure medication correctly because my recent tests looked abnormal. And twice, I found Vanessa inside my bedroom when she thought I wasn't home. Each time she smiled casually. "Just putting away laundry." But something about her eyes unsettled me. Cold. Observing. Calculating. Still, I ignored the warning signs because I loved my son too much to imagine his wife could truly be dangerous. Then came the hospital night. 2 days before Christmas. Snowstorm outside. Boston buried beneath freezing rain and icy wind. I'd collapsed in the kitchen. After feeling dizzy all afternoon, Vanessa insisted on calling an ambulance while Daniel rushed home from work looking terrified. At Massachusetts General Hospital, doctors ran tests for hours. I remember fluorescent lights, the smell of disinfectant, nurses moving quickly through crowded hallways. Daniel stayed beside me most of the evening holding my hand. Vanessa disappeared constantly to make phone calls. Around midnight, Daniel finally went downstairs to grab coffee. I insisted I was fine. Go eat something, I told him weakly. I'm not leaving you, he said. You look exhausted. I smiled gently. I raised you better than this. He laughed softly and kissed my forehead before leaving. 10 minutes later, a young nurse entered my room carrying coffee cups and paperwork. You're Eleanor? She asked quickly. Yes. She handed me a paper cup absent-mindedly, then froze. Oh wait, sorry, wrong one. She grabbed the cup back immediately and handed me another. Simple mistake. Tiny mistake. But before she removed the first cup, I noticed something strange written near the lid. Vanessa, private, not hospital labeling. Handwritten. In black marker. The nurse apologized again and hurried out before I could ask questions. Something felt wrong instantly. Very wrong. Because Vanessa wasn't even supposed to be downstairs. Curiosity tugged at me harder than fear. A few minutes later, I slowly climbed out of bed despite the dizziness and followed the hallway toward the cafeteria. I wish I hadn't. Some discoveries change your life permanently. The cafeteria was nearly empty except for a few exhausted staff members and families sleeping in chairs. Then I saw them. Vanessa. And a man I had never seen before. Tall. Dark coat. Expensive watch. They sat tucked into a corner booth speaking urgently. I almost called out her name. Then I heard mine. After Eleanor signs the revised trust paperwork, everything transfers automatically, the man whispered. Vanessa nodded. And Daniel still knows nothing? My heartbeat stopped. Vanessa leaned closer. He's emotional about his mother, she said coldly. But once the dementia diagnosis becomes official, he'll listen to me. Dementia. The word hit me like ice water. The man slid a folder across the table. Your timing is perfect, he said quietly. The medication adjustments already support cognitive decline symptoms. Medication? Suddenly my mind connected every terrifying detail from the past few months. The dizziness. Confusion. Fatigue. Memory lapses. The missing pills. My knees nearly gave out beneath me. Vanessa continued speaking calmly while stirring her coffee. Once she's placed in assisted living, we can sell the Cape Cod property too. The Cape Cod house. My late husband's vacation home. The last piece of him I still had left. She trusts me completely, Vanessa added with a faint smile. I felt physically sick. For 3 years, I treated this woman like family. I defended her. Loved her. Included her in every holiday, every birthday, every private grief. And all along, she was quietly building a case to convince people I was mentally unstable. Not because she cared about me. Because she wanted my money. My property. My life. Then the man asked the question that shattered me completely. What if Eleanor changes her will before everything's finalized? Vanessa laughed softly. She won't have the chance. Silence. Heavy silence. Then Vanessa lowered her voice. The doctors already think her blood pressure problems are worsening naturally. I stopped breathing. No. No, no, no. My hands began shaking violently against the cafeteria wall. Because suddenly I understood. This wasn't only financial manipulation. Vanessa had been tampering with my medication. Slowly. Carefully. Creating symptoms. Weakening me. Preparing everyone around me to believe I was declining mentally and physically. And my own son had no idea. I stumbled backward, accidentally knocking into a metal chair. The loud scrape echoed across the cafeteria floor. Vanessa's head snapped upward instantly. Our eyes met. For one horrifying second, either of us moved. Then her expression changed. Not guilt. Not panic. Something colder. Calculation. She stood immediately. Eleanor? She called sweetly. That voice. That fake concern. The same performance she'd used for years. I turned and hurried down the hallway as fast as my shaking legs allowed. Behind me, I heard her heels clicking rapidly against the floor. Eleanor, wait! I reached my hospital room and locked the door with trembling hands. Seconds later, Vanessa knocked softly. Honey, are you okay? She asked gently through the door. Honey. She called me honey while plotting to steal my life. I stayed silent. My chest hurt so badly I thought I might collapse again. Then my phone buzzed. A text from Daniel. Getting sandwiches. Need anything? Tears flooded my eyes instantly. Because my son was innocent in all of this. Completely blind. And I realized something terrifying. If I accused Vanessa without proof, Daniel would never believe me. Why would he? She had spent years crafting the image of a loving daughter-in-law, while quietly convincing everyone I was becoming forgetful. Any emotional accusation from me would only strengthen her story. I needed evidence. Real evidence. The door opened suddenly with a hospital keycard. Vanessa stepped inside calmly. She closed the door behind her. And smiled. You shouldn't be wandering the halls, she said softly. I stared at her silently. For the first time since meeting her, I truly saw who she was beneath the performance. Not warm. Not loving. Predatory. Controlled. Dangerous. You heard us, she said quietly. Not a question. A statement. I gripped the bedrail tightly. How long? I whispered. Vanessa sighed almost dramatically and sat beside the window. You know, she said calmly. Older people always think family loyalty protects them. Her composure terrified me more than shouting would have. You sold your house willingly, she continued. You added Daniel to your accounts willingly. You trusted us willingly. Us. Not just her. My stomach twisted painfully. No, I whispered. Daniel would never. Daniel knows less than you think, she interrupted. But honestly, he benefits either way. I felt something inside me crack. Not my heart. Something deeper. A mother's certainty. You manipulated him, I whispered. Vanessa shrugged lightly. People believe what's convenient. Outside the hospital window, snow fell heavily across the dark Boston streets. Everything felt unreal. Like a nightmare unfolding in slow motion. Then Vanessa leaned closer and lowered her voice. You should cooperate with the assisted living transition, she said quietly. Fighting it will only make you appear unstable. I stared at her in disbelief. This woman was threatening me inside a hospital room while pretending to care for me publicly. And suddenly I understood why elderly people become trapped in abusive situations. Because manipulation rarely looks violent at first. It looks polite. Concerned. Helpful. Respectable. Until it's too late. Vanessa stood to leave. But before opening the door, she paused. Oh, she added casually. Daniel still thinks tonight was caused by stress. Then she smiled. Try not to disappoint him. The second she left, I broke down completely. Not because I was weak. Because grief arrived all at once. Grief for my marriage. My home. My trust. My family. But beneath the grief, something else slowly emerged. Anger. Cold, focused anger. Vanessa believed age made me powerless. Invisible. Easy to erase. She forgot something important. I had spent 37 years as a school principal managing crises, lawsuits, violent parents, budget investigations, and political battles. I wasn't fragile. I was experienced. And for the first time in months, I stopped being afraid.